This video is all about creating container gardens with succulents. We'll show you the entire process all the way through, and we will review our project completed in Menifee last week. As promised, we're going to show you how to do a container succulent garden, and it's pretty easy. You may have seen our photographs from our planting that we did up in Menifee at the location of our upcoming wedding that Joan and I are going to have. Very wonderful. And we showed you the before and after of those planters. And we're going to demonstrate that again here today at our home in Chula Vista. I didn't get a lot of good footage of the actual planting process up there, so we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use a smaller container with all these succulents and plant it up in exactly the same way. And of course, this is easy to scale up or scale down. Larger planters or smaller planters, the process is exactly the same, and it's really easy. So stay with us. We'll get started right now. Let's do a little editorializing here first, okay? I suppose I could be characterized as an environmental activist. In a lot of ways, I am. I practice sound gardening practices that I have learned over 40 years working in gardening and landscaping, and everything that I'm about to show you I've done myself. These are practical solutions that you can do easily in your own patio or at your own home, in your own apartment even, or condominium like we live. I don't preach about what car you should drive or what kind of food you should eat. That's promulgated by people who don't really know what they're talking about. I call them the Twitsies, the Twitter Nazis, and I'm totally against all that kind of radical environmentalism that's going to try to restrict our lives, force us onto bicycles, into bike lanes, onto buses. I don't want that. Instead, if we all just took care of our own piece of the planet, then there would be no environmental issues, right? Good. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps a lot, and we're very grateful for it. So I'll give you a second here. Click on your remote or use your mouse, and please click like and subscribe to our channel. That makes it easier or more possible for me to produce more videos like this to give you more, we think, pretty good gardening tips. So please get that done, and I'll wait. For more good gardening ideas, you might want to get in my book. It's available on Amazon. It's called Garden and Landscape Design by Dave Perling. It costs next to nothing, and it's about 25 pages long, so it truly is a quick start guide. I wrote this about 10 years ago, and it encapsulates pretty much everything I learned in my 25 years in the landscape and garden design business. There's 5 main concepts, and they're pretty easy to follow. Concept number 1 is have a plan on paper and to scale. That way, when you go to order bulk materials like brick pavers or mulch or stone, you can take the measurements off your piece of paper, and that translates into quantities that you're going to need that you can order from your suppliers. It's a very critical part of that. Concept number 2 is planted beds are everything. Have your home and your place surrounded by wide sweeping planted beds, mostly filled in with set and forget plants, plants that grow in, that are easy to maintain and don't require much care, and they'll give you enjoyment pretty much in 4 seasons depending on where you live. Also, have as little lawn as you can stand. Lawns in California and Southern California are being more and more eliminated. They're heavy water users, and they're heavy maintenance items. So cut the grass. In the Midwest, we don't quite understand that a lot yet, but people are getting better, I hope. Also, leave little spaces around your yard for the accent areas, annuals and perennials, but make them small and manageable for your time and budget. But have those around in the key areas, focal areas, and that kind of thing. And the rest of the plants can just be set and forget, and it's really easy to do. Concept number 3 is never use these 3 things. Never use gaudy colored stone or mulch, never use plastic edging, and never use the cheap concrete block retaining walls sold at many of the big home centers. The gaudy colored stone and mulch, the worst example of that is white marble chips. We see a lot of that in the Midwest, not so much out here in California, but that's just a stark, it's an eye-blinding area.
You want to have natural earth tones in those things. Don't use try to avoid the mulches that are dyed at some factory someplace. The reds and those kind of things. Use natural colored brown mulches, and those darker colors will bring out the greens of your plants a lot better. The plastic edging is totally useless. I've never put a foot of that in ever. It's horrible. It starts popping out of the ground, and you don't need it. Just edge your beds once or twice a year with a string trimmer or with a spade, and they'll get the job done for you. And the gaudy the cheap concrete block retaining walls, bad news. They're way overused everywhere in the Midwest and out here. Do they really look that good? Ask yourself. And if you've ever perused through a coffee table book, a garden book that people have in their coffee tables, the big format books that show wonderful gardens throughout the country or throughout the world, you will never see one single photo that shows plastic edging, gaudy colored stone or mulch, or cheap concrete block retaining walls. So if you want to make sure that your gardens never appear in a magazine or never appear in a book like that, just put any of those three things in, and they'll want to photograph it and feature it in a good book. Item number 4, concept number 4 is hardscapes will make or break your garden. This is really true. Hardscapes are things like your patios, your walls, your stones. Look through some books on that. Sunset has a book called Landscaping with Stone. Some great ideas, but stay away from the cheap retaining wall blocks and other overused items, and you'll have a better garden. This is the one area of your garden that you might want to hire a contractor, because all those things require heavy materials and a lot of labor. So maybe have your contractor put your patio in, or your stone, or your other walls and that kind of stuff. And item number 5 is what we're going to talk about today, the finishing touches. Things like container gardens, lighting, outdoor lighting for after dark, and irrigation. Our garden right here that you see behind me is all watered by a very inexpensive little drip system. So those are the 5 concepts. You can order my book on Amazon, Garden and Landscape Design by David Perling. Garden and Landscape Design, a quick start guide by David Perling. So check it out, and we hope that you can get that book. Laid out before me and to my right is everything we're going to need to get this project in today. We have the succulents. All these plants are succulents. We have 4 individual varieties, including a nice aloe plant. We wanted some height. We have this combination bowl of several succulents that we're going to plant in toward the front of the container. We did the same thing up in Menifee last Friday, and 3 kalanchoes. They are also succulents, and it should be a really nice display when it's all done. We also have this nice 13-inch terracotta planter and the potting soil. We got all this stuff at a local big box garden center yesterday, and it cost about $80 for all of it, not including the garden tools, which of course we already had, a little hand spade and some pruners in case we need them. Here are closer-up shots of the plants we're going to use. There's the aloe, and it even has a stalk of some blossoms coming up on it. We're happy about that, as you can see right there. And then we have these other succulents that we're going to put in this planter, and a nice variety of them that'll go well together. All succulents are easy to care for. They don't require much water or much fertilizer. Here is the combination planter we bought as is, and we're going to plant that and put that right in the planter just like that. And then we have the 3 red and orange kalanchoes that'll kind of add accent and color to it. Here's something else that I like to do. I like to mock up my planting, whether I'm planting in my yard, in my beds in my yard, or doing a container garden. Put the plants in the container or in the yard, in this case the container, and just see if you like the arrangement. Do the colors go well together? Do they fit? And that kind of stuff. If they don't fit, they're crowded right now, but we'll solve that, and you'll see how we do that. But do a little mock-up, and then take them all back out of the container and start planting one by one. Here's a good idea before we get started. Take an old washcloth, and we're going to use it as a filter in the bottom of the container, and here's why. This container has a hole in the bottom, and soil could run down through that when you water and maybe make a mess on your patio or on your table. So put a little piece of cloth in there. In this case, we're using an old washcloth, and we're going to put it right in the bottom of the container just like that. And then we're going to put a little bit of soil on that. and start the project. We have filled the this container bowl maybe a third of the way. I like patting it down with my bare hands, and so it, you don't want it too loose. You don't want it to settle later on. It will settle a little bit, but if we pack it down now, it'll reduce the settling and reduce the plants kind of falling down into the bowl after the container is all done. So we're gonna do that. Get done with our hands, just using bare hands. You notice that nice thing about living here in the San Diego area, like we do. It's the middle of February, and we can garden in our bare feet, which is really, really nice. There we go, pat that down real good. And then we're going to first put in our combination planter. I'll put that right in the front of the bowl, closest to the camera right now. Carefully pop that out. And I think it'll come out in one piece. To ease the process of getting this combination succulent garden out of its container that came from the garden center, we didn't want to risk breaking the root bulb, so I took my pruners and I first cut the rim of the little pot in several places, 3 or 4 places all the way around. Then I finished that cut by using my razor knife to cut down to the bottom of the container, and then I kind of just gradually slowly loosened it to kind of make sure I could pop that container out of there without breaking everything up. And it looks like I did a pretty good job now. So there you go. One of the little succulents fell off to the side, but we will just put it back in place when we get it located in the container here. And the plant won't suffer at all. There you go. Now it's all back in one piece again. And we'll put it in the bowl. We're going to add some more soil underneath it. So it doesn't sit too low. And maybe just a little bit more soil underneath it. Like so. And one more handful. That looks pretty good. We don't want it to sit too low, so we'll put that right in the front of the container, and then we'll plant around that. This will kind of be our featured plant in here. Next that goes in is going to be the aloe. This little one wants to drop this. I will put it back in place once we get everything else in there. There we go. The aloe is going to come out next and go in the center for height. It's got that tall little flower, has that tall flower stalk on it, so we're going to put that in the center of the pot, like we did up in Menifee last Friday. This one's a little bit stuck in the pot too, so we'll do some slicing of its pot, like so. Very easy. These plastic pots cut real easily. We may need to do this on all of them. We don't know yet. So now the pot is pretty well cut, and now we're going to pop that aloe right out of there. It's a little bit root bound, so we're going to cut some of that off, and it might sit a little bit too high. Not too bad. I'm going to just cut a little bit of that off. You can do this. It won't harm your plants. Any circling roots, which this one doesn't have, any plants that circle around the thing, you do want to cut those, or at least slice them vertically so that they don't circle the plant and cause restriction of the roots that way. But anyhow, this guy is, and I'm going to take a little bit of soil off the bottom. This is not going to harm it. So there's some big roots down here we're going to get rid of. Prune off. And let's see how that does. I think that's pretty good now. I'm going to turn that flower stalk to the back and start working. Pardon me. Start working on the rest of the plants. Now we're going to put in the other 3 potted perennials, get them in their spots, and continue the process. We don't know how easy they'll pop out of their containers. That one pops out real easy. Nice. Probably a little bit too much soil on the bottom. I'm going to get rid of some of the soil on the bottom so it doesn't sit too high. And again, that's not going to hurt the plant. It'll do just fine. So we'll drop that one in right there. That's a good spot for it. And then we'll take this larger, this I believe is a Echeveria, and we'll put this over here on this side. See how it has a nice little stalk coming up? That's probably gonna give us some flowers pretty soon. I like that. A little more soil right there. And I'm gonna peel a little bit off the bottom of this. And then we're gonna drop this guy in place. Yeah, we'll scrape some soil off underneath it now. And a little bit more from underneath it. There we go. We have to keep supporting this one little one in the combination plant that wants to keep falling off to the side, but it'll be fine. There we go. We're making some good progress now. And finally, this last larger potted perennial. We'll put that person, that guy, we'll put him, how about right here? How about that, huh? How's that look? Drop it in just like that. And now we'll put the kalanchoys. I'm going to put the red kalanchoy right here in this front corner. And on these plants, I am going to break off a few of the lower leaves by pinching them off like that. That's real easy. Doesn't hurt the plant. I'm going to pinch off a couple flowers here too. Give everybody some more room to grow here, straight up. Just a pinch, no pruning, you just pinch. Take some soil out of this corner, drop it on this corner, and drop that guy right in there. There we go. I'm going to spin it around so the flowers are more toward the front. They're the rim of the container. There we go. How's that, huh? And so the red one, the red kalanchoy is right there. And we're going to put the 2 orange ones back in this corner, side by side. Pinch off a few of the leaves, the lower leaves. Like that. Again, it won't hurt the plant. It might even help the plant. Okay, there we go. Put that one in right there like that. I'm going to pinch off this one leaf here so it doesn't cover the succulent next to it. There we go. Perfect. Real good. And now one last kalanchoy back for this back edge right here will be all done. Planting. There we are, moving right along. Pinch off a few leaves off of this one. Some of the lower leaves again. That might be in the way. Okay. Drop it in here right in this back corner just like that. And so there, all the plants are located in the container now. Now we just have to go through and add some soil around to fill in around the gaps. I'm going to take one of the pots from the kalanchoy, just pour it in like a little measuring cup sort of thing. I'll pack it in and tamp it down with my fingers. There we go. Tamp, 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 tamp. This is a soilless potting mix. And so there's no dirt in it, so it holds off the patio really easily. By the way, this product, the cactus, palm, and citrus mix has more sand in it, so it drains better. You don't want your your succulents to sit in wet soil all the time. And add more soil all the way around now. And then tap it down with our fingers. Any soil that gets on the leaves will just wash off with the watering can in a few minutes. I'll spin this around a little bit so I get the front gaps here. There we go. There we are. Hacking it around real good. Using my fingers, I'm going to go around and make sure that there's no big gap. There's one right there, a gap there. Pack some soil in there. Need some more right there. And not too many more gaps around now. I think we're pretty good. Maybe right there. Soil right there. Right in this front edge, there's a gap. We'll fill that in with some more soil. There we go. A little more. And gap right there. Don't worry about getting soil on your leaves. That'll wash off real easy with nothing more than a watering can full of water, and it'll just give them a little shower that way. Clean the leaves off real good. So I want to make sure I don't have any heavy gaps back here. Big gaps, I should say. Except we pretty well got it now. One more little bit right there. Again, feel around with your fingers. If you feel more comfortable wearing gloves, do that. I'm not worried about it. My hands will wash off real easy, and this stuff is not particularly dirty. This is a soilless mix that'll wash off my fingers and off the patio and off the table real easy. So there we are for that. Okay, brush off my knees, and now we're going to get the watering can and water this guy real good and clean him off. Here is the process to wash the soil off the leaves and give our little container garden of succulents a good bath, a good watering. Real easy to do. The leaves, all the soil is washing off the leaves real easily. Ah, yes, real good. Get a little more water here. Come back and do it again. And so, here is our finished planter with the succulents. Succulents throughout, nothing but succulents. This is going to be very easy to care for. It's going to need kind of be in at least a half-day sunny location, but it won't need very much water. And you saw how easy it was to do. Everything here cost about $80, including the bowl and the soil. So it's not a real expensive way, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of this kind of container gardening. So thank you. So there's our finished bowl. As you can see, it was very easy to do, and this one is light enough that we can carry it ourselves. If you get much bigger than this, you might need help, but this one moves around real easy, and we'll put it somewhere where we get some sun, and it'll be great to have all summer long.
For the next minute or so, we're going to show you the succulent planting we did in the 24-inch bowls in Menifee, California for our upcoming wedding.
Today's project is all about container gardening. We're going to plant up the 3 24-inch bowls you see in this shot with succulents today in preparation for an upcoming wedding in this backyard in Menifee, California in the middle of March. It's actually my wedding, and so of course we want it to look as best, and we're going to use nothing but succulents in these bowls, and get them all planted up. We want them to look flower show ready when we're done today for the wedding in 3 weeks. So there you see the white kalanchoids in the foreground, and then we also purchased 3 ready-made succulent bowls to drop in to the larger 24-inch bowls to simplify the whole planting process and make it perhaps go a little bit faster. And to complete the planter bowls, we've also got 2 varieties of aeonium, the green and the purple, and then we're going to add for some height, some aloe plants to them. So we think it's going to be okay when it's all finished.
Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe and send us any comments you'd have. We'd love to hear from you.